my name's Leslie Banks with Curvy Lines Art School. Today we're going to learn how to paint the groundhog. So I've got my paint here and I'm going to mix up some black, white, and a little bit of brown. And I'm just going to paint my whole groundhog. Just nice and slowly. I'm not too worried at this stage. I'm just going to paint it back and forth. So at this point, I'm just painting it. I don't have to be super careful. I'm going to paint my whole groundhog, just back and forth, and I'm using my smudgy brush to do this. So I'm pushing the paint into the paper. And as soon as I run out of paint, I'll just grab more paint just from the middle where I mixed it up. And again, just pushing it into the paper. Back and forth into the paper. A little bit more paint. Here we go. Now, because I don't have a picture to follow, I'm going to make up my colors. And I'm going to make this groundhog a bit on the warm side, but a lot of gray, a lot of black and white mixed together. There we go, just finishing it all off, making sure it's all painted. I like to put one layer of paint down and then I'll put a second layer of paint over top of part of it. For my second layer, I'm going to mix up some brown, white, and a bit of red, just a little bit reddier brown, a little bit of orange in there too. There we go, and I'm going to put it little bit in the middle just so I have a pinkish color that it kind of blends right into his brownish fur. He's got a little bit of pinkish fur as well. There we go. I like that pink. Now put a little bit of pink in other places, on his arms, on his head. Just tiny bits. There, now I'm going to make a bit of a darker color. I'm using blue black. I like to use a cool color when I'm starting to shade. And I'm going to shade opposite and bottom of the sun on the opposite on his leg. Opposite side of the sun, and I'm going to get my smudgy brush for this. I'm going to smudge that paint in, smudge there, and make it look like it's gradated from dark to light towards the sun. Once I start shading it, it starts to look very three-dimensional. Well, I'm kind of liking that. And make sure I smudge it in so that it doesn't jump quickly. And I got to make sure that I put it darker on every single part. Smudge every single part. A little bit more on his head. There we go. Now I find painting very relaxing, as I know I can be very creative, and if I do things a little bit different than someone else, it doesn't matter, it'll just be my style. So nobody has to worry when you're painting, because everything is right. And just relax and paint and smudge. If you like it, you leave it. If you don't like it, you paint over top of it. I do like to have contrast, make it different than my first layer. So my paint is darker and on the cool side. So that's like two different contrasts, tonal contrast and color contrast. If everything's the same, it looks very, very boring. There we go. Now I'm going to start shading his little arms. First of all, his lower arm, shading on the opposite and bottom of the sun. And now I'm going to do a little bit on his upper arm, on the opposite of the sun. There we go, his upper arm and now his leg, making it darker on the opposite and bottom of the sun. There we go, that's looking not so bad. This little groundhog is coming to life now. And I can mix up another color with a little bit of white. Put a few little highlights in. I can go back and forth from dark to light. Do some dark colors, and then I switch it up and do some light colors. Don't forget his feet. Make his feet a little bit darker so that we can see them. There, I'm liking my little groundhog. Now time to paint the rocks in. So I'm going to make up a rock color with some black, white, and a little tiny bit of purplish color just to give the rock a cool tone. And I'm going to paint the darkish part opposite from the sun. And I'm going to smudge it all in now. Here we go. Smudge it all in. Making different tones of my rock to make it look three-dimensional. My top's going to be the lightest. And then furthest on the right is going to be the darkest because my sun is on the left-hand side. And I'm going to make some more rocks. Maybe a little bit on the green side this time. And again, it's darker on the right-hand side and a little bit lighter as I go to the left. And of course, it's lightest on the top. And smudge it all in so I have a nice fuzzy feel. Lots of gradation makes my picture softer. I'm going to fill in the rocks on the other side now. Again, darker on the one side, lighter as it goes towards the sun. My little rocks, making sure that my different rocks have different tones so that I can see the differences between the different rocks. I'm gonna make a lighter tone on my rocks. Here we go, and smush it all in. There we go, that's looking pretty good now. And smush it all in once more. There we go. Push her in. A bit of an orangey brown color. So a little bit of green to gray down my orange. A little bit of yellow in there. And smudge my color in. Very easy to change the color. Just paint right over top of it. Yeah, and push it in on the other side now. Get all my rocks slightly different from each other. A little bit of a bluish rock. Too much blue. Squish it in. Push that paint in. There we go. There, that rock definitely has quite a blue tone to it. It's looking okay. I don't mind that too much. There, my rocks are pretty good. Now I'm going to make a wash for my grass area. So I'm using water green, yellow, and a little bit of orange or red, just to gray it down a little bit. And lots of water. I use my big brush and I can just brush that right on. And because it's so watery, I can go over top of some of my painting and it doesn't really affect it very much. So that's why I like washes. They're very quick to paint in. I'm almost done my grass already. That was hardly any time whatsoever. There we go. I can paint it up and down, back and forth. Make sure all my areas are painted. Because it's so watery, you can't really see the brush strokes either. Sometimes you want to see brush strokes, sometimes you don't. Everything is right. My favorite saying. That's why I like art so much. It's so much fun. Now I'm going to make my mountain color, and I've got white and yellow and a little bit of purple to gray it down, and water so that it's nice and watery and easy to paint. And I'm just going to paint my mountains back and forth. They're not the same color as the groundhog. No, I don't think I put black in the mountains, just white and a little bit of brown and purple. And very easy to paint because my paint is so watery. There we go. 2 seconds flat. I am done painting. Now I'm going to make my shading color, and I'm going to put it a little bit on the purple blue side. So I've got black, white, purple, blue, and I'm going to shade in my mountain shaded areas. Here we go. Just pop that color in, and I'm going to pop it in on the other side. Again, it's quite quick because my paint is quite watery. And put it wherever the shading is on the mountains. And I'm just going to smudge my color in a little bit now. I have to be fairly quick before it dries. I think I caught it in time. Maybe not. I'm just gonna put a little bit of that shaded color in just to push my paint around so it's not so stark. Push my paint in. There we go. I think that's looking not so bad. Now I'm gonna clean my brush off, swoosh it in the water, wipe out my little cup, and I'm going to make my sky color. Clean out my palette. Here we go. Scoop up some water. Lots of white paint and a little bit of blue. And a little bit of black paint and a touch of purple or red. Mix it in there. So my sky color is going to be a nice sunny day color. I think it's going to look good. And again, just going to paint. Make sure my color's right. It's got to be perfect, you know. There we go. And I'm going to just paint back and forth. Put in that sky color. There we go. Back and forth. There we go. Back and forth. Pop in that sky color. I'm liking it. And again, because there's so much water in the paint, it goes very, very quickly. Okay. Almost done already. If I get a little bit on my groundhog, I just wipe it off very simply with my finger. There we go. To just go the opposite direction to get rid of the brush strokes. Not that there is very many brush strokes because my paint's so watery, but it gets rid of the little bit of brush stroke. Go one way, then the other way. Makes it nice and smooth. There. And there we have it. Now I'm just going to paint the sun in. Just a bit of white and a bit of yellow. And just pop that sun in. And I am pretty much done.